Badshai Mosque or the Royal Mosque in Lahore, commissioned by the 6th Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb in 1671 and completed in 1673, is the second largest mosque in Pakistan and South Asia and the 5th largest mosque in the world. Epitomizing the beauty, passion and grandeur of the Mughal era. It is Lahore's most famous landmark and a major tourist attraction. Capable of accommodating 5,000 worshippers in its main prayer hall and a further 95,000 in its courtyard, it remains the largest mosque in the world. From 1673 to 1986, a period of 313 years, when overtaken in size by the completion of the Faisal Mosque in Islamabad. Today, it remains the second largest mosque in Pakistan and South Asia and the 5th largest mosque in the world after Masjid al-Haram, Grand Mosque of Mecca, and Al-Masjid al-Nabwi, Prophet's Mosque in Medina. The Hassan II Mosque in Casablanca and the Faisal Mosque in Islamabad. To appreciate its large size, the 4 minarets of the Badshai Mosque are 13.9 feet, 4.2 meters tall than those of the Taj Mahal, and the main platform of the Taj Mahal can fit inside the 278,784 square feet courtyard of the Badshai Mosque, which is the largest mosque courtyard in the world. Architectural wonders.
It's time for Isha prayers in Rawalpindi, Islamabad. People in other parts of the country may offer their prayers according to their local timings.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد
Sayings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He who does not respect elders, does not have mercy on children, does not commend what is good, and does not forbid what is evil, is not one of us.
Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farrukh Pitafi. We have been talking about the politics of federation for quite some time, and then of course we keep on wading into geopolitics and other areas as well. But today, once again, we have to talk about Balochistan. If you remember last time when I was talking about it, I mentioned or I repeated one term that has been used by realtors, businessmen all over the world, and that is location, location, location. Balochistan is more than 44% of Pakistan's total landmass. That is not all. Balochistan, if you include the coastal areas, it goes beyond 50% of total Pakistan's territory. And that is not all. It is gifted with a lot of resources. And, the CPEC project is also culminating into Gwadar. So that makes strategically very important a region. But that is not all. There are other aspects as well. For example, human beings and their lives. And in the past, because of the law and order situation, because of lack of governance on the ground, there have been a lot of problems that we have seen. One, job security has been a big problem for people. Then, of course, is the issue of poverty. The current government actually is planning to bring about change, a fact change, which will bring quality change to the people's lives. We are going to talk about that as well and understand, especially recently when Prime Minister of Pakistan was speaking at Gwadar, he actually pointed out that the government is mulling over the idea of reaching out to the dissident Baloch elements, but of course those who actually believe in Pakistan, not those who actually collude with India. So we are going to talk about that as well, and I'm going to actually introduce the guest we have in the studio. He's a great resource, but before that, like always, let us watch our report that our team has prepared.
On July 7th, the Prime Minister Imran Khan appointed Jamhuri Watan Party chief and MNA Shahzain Bugti as his special assistant on reconciliation and harmony in Balochistan. Earlier this month, the Prime Minister had performed the groundbreaking of several mega projects and launched a number of other infrastructure ventures, including Free Zone Phase 2 project, Expo Center, Agriculture Industrial Park, and 3 factories under the ambitious China-Pakistan Economic Corridor in Pakistan's strategic coastal city of Gwadar. Imran Khan had addressed the water and power problems of Gwadar along with the signing of various MOUs aimed at constructing an advanced hospital, airport, and a vocational institute. Past week, Federal Secretary for Housing and Work Dr. Jahanzeb Khan said that the federal government would extend all help and cooperation to the provincial government for resolving the housing issues in Balochistan, for which the PTI government had already launched housing projects under the vision of Prime Minister Imran Khan. Today, the Minister of Information and Broadcasting Chaudhry Fawad Hussain stated that with the aim of uplifting the province, Imran Khan has directed the concerned authorities to provide 3G and 4G internet services in Balochistan to integrate the population with the vibrant digital domain. He said that the Indian terrorist network operating in Balochistan had been dismantled and the government has formally started working on Prime Minister Imran Khan's vision to have dialogue with those who are not involved in anti-state activities. And we hope that it will bring harmony and tranquility to Balochistan. The federal government planned to execute 131 development projects worth rupees 731 billion in Balochistan, while the provincial government's development program for this year was worth rupees 180 billion. Imran Khan had said he was considering talking with insurgents in Balochistan and that the government would never have had to worry about insurgency in the province if attention had been paid to its development. On July
So Balochistan is moving in that direction, but also remember it has to go a long way. We are in the studio. I'm joined by Nawab Ghaus Bakhsh Barozai Saab, who is former Chief Minister of Balochistan. Not only that, he comes from a political family. His father was also Balochistan's Chief Minister and Speaker Balochistan Assembly. Nawab Saab, thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program.
My pleasure.
And we have to actually start directly. Balochistan, it has many problems. Recently, we saw that there was population, especially when you talk about census, 2017 census, population has increased. But still, it seems that, the poverty also has increased. What are the ways to actually improve the lot of common people?
Pitafi Sahab, let me tell you, Balochistan, through the annals of history, if you see Balochistan, it remained like the same as it is now. But before 2 centuries, it was a tribal setup, and we used to, use our powers to get our things for us. Then when with the advent of Brits coming in India, then Punjab and Sindh, then they came in 1811, I believe, and 1876. Last one was Captain Robert Sundevan, who came through Kolu to CB, and he developed a city over there. CB was not a city at that time. So population of Balochistan is not in question. Like the
poverty is?
Yes, poverty, in fact, it was not that much, poor also. When people had their, what you call it, day-to-day routine, they had money, they had each and everything, but not to that extent like we have in other developed areas. So Brits when came, they brought along with them the politics. In the politics, they also they established an establishment, and they started their games over there. They went towards the Baloch side of Balochistan. Balochistan, as you know, it is not studied with Balochis. It is studied with all the families over there. Pashtuns are same.
Second,
they are not second. If you count them properly, they might be, because some Baloch tribes are Pashtuns essentially. They have changed their codes. See? So they started playing with Khan of Kalat. Khan of Kalat was also in not a good shape tribally also. So they helped him very well, and then this establishment started playing its game. Since the ultimate goal of Brits was to go to Afghanistan. Afghanistan was always, in the eyes of everyone, every power, medieval or current powers. So he started, manipulating. He brought up the Balochis.
Right.
The Khan of Kalat was made powerful, and along with his, as he's a Baloch Khan of Kalat, so he has, Jalawan and Sarawan, chief of Sarawan, chief of Jalawan, and other Balochi and other people were also with him. And Brits, they started working against the Pashtuns to, subdue them, because ultimately they had to go to Afghanistan.
Right.
So
divide and rule has been their policy.
So the establishment is the game of, it was the game of the British establishment to play divide and rule, and the person who is, of their favor, or they want to, make a person powerful to get their designs, ulterior designs, not social designs, tribal designs, or what you call it. They were not zeroed socially.
Okay.
Politically, they were okay.
Right.
They wanted their rights to be, what do you call it, right from Britain. They wanted to govern this portion of subcontinent. So because of that establishment, which made its own, what do you call it,
hierarchy and
hierarchy,
political divide. Yep.
Then political systems were, they were there. Nurseries were there, but that was not that much, of the class as of in Punjab or in Sindh or in India. And then became the advent of Pakistan. Pakistan was, came into being in 1947. Then after that, the British, they left, but they left behind their, what do you call it, the system which they had played over there. And the other people who came into powers, because of the pressures of India also, because we were a breakaway piece of India. So we started copying them. We had no resources in the beginning. In the beginning, and unfortunately, the founder of the nation, he died one year after
Pakistan's creation.
And then we had a political pandemonium. It started.
And I'm really grateful that we have looked at the historical evolution of Balochistan as well. But given that our recent survey showed that the poverty level has risen to 60% in Balochistan because of the COVID-19 crisis, because of all the shutdown and what is going on in Afghanistan elsewhere. So at this moment, poverty alleviation, is this a goal that is achievable, especially because the population is so scattered and the province's landmass is so big?
I tell you, Pitafi sahab, it's not at all that difficult to cater those people. It's a very thin population. We have just crossed, in the last census, that we are more than a crore and some lakhs. Okay.
30.
Before that, we were not. I believe we were 65 lakhs. So catering for 65 lakh people was not a problem at all. It is the ill will of the political system of our country that it did not pay results. The leaders, they got so many things. The leaders are very rich. We can compete. If you name any leader from Balochistan, he can compete in Punjab, he can compete in Sindh, but
because of the resources.
Because of the resources which are are being used, which are being what do you call it, irritated by him. But the people, masses, see, the governments work for the masses, not for the people, a simple person, one person. No, for the
common man.
It's not that difficult. People, they say it's scattered, so why don't they make infrastructures like roads? There should be multiple entries in Balochistan. If it is long stretched areas, so it was not that difficult. The Brits, if you go through Bolan Pass, they have made such a marvel over there. The railway and the road, and up above in the mountains, for their security purposes.
For their own time, it was a marvel.
Yes, it was
Edge.
fantastic. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but when Pakistan came into being, after that, human crime started, and in 1948, you see, annexation of Balochistan, especially of Khan of Kalat, because the other part of Balochistan that was called British Balochistan, so that annexed. In my father, Nawab Samandar Khan. In that, Akbar Khan, Nawab Akbar Khan Bugti, and other Sardars of the area, they voted for Pakistan.
Right.
Las Bela, Haran and Makran, they also accessed Pakistan on 14th of August.
Right.
But Khan of Khalat, the Khalat due reasons, it did not.
Okay.
In 1947, I mean, Khan of Khalat, Khan Ahmad Khan, he annexed to Pakistan, but it was a process, you can say.
Right.
Some hue and cry and some operation kind of thing also. And the first insurgency started from Khan of Khalat's family.
Right.
His brother, Prince Agha Abdul Karim, he went to Afghanistan. You see, Afghanistan was a place of refuge for our Balochistanis. Always, whenever they had some problems in this part of area, they used to flee to Afghanistan,
Right.
and then they used to get, their Pakistan privileges over there. And the outer forces, the forces which are against the Muslims at that time, Pakistan was not in being. So they used them as their tools. And when Pakistan became into being, Russia had eyes on Gwadar in 1973. Balochistan was became province in 1970.
Yeah.
And the credit goes to Yahya Khan, because when Marshall came, Yahya Khan's Marshall was proclaimed. So he also, he broke one unit, and Balochistan became a province.
Right,
And Balochistan had its assembly for the first time in 70s. In 72, they convened the assembly.
Right.
So now the problem starts that politically, because we don't have that, development in the political, arena.
Right.
There were very good, leaders who, made name in subcontinent, like Abdul Samad Achakzai, Waswas Bizenjo, and other people also. But the problem with the Balochistan parties were that they did not, went into the depth.
Right.
They should have gone into depth to serve the nation, to serve the people. Instead, they went into counting their numbers. Pashtuns are more, Balochis say we are more,
Right.
and every person.
So hardly any contact with the grassroots.
Yes.
The question that I was asking earlier, and I'm going to actually bring the discussion back to how things can be now. You said that politicians and Pakistan's political system has not been able to deliver to the Baloch people. I recall the government that preceded yours, that was People's Party's government, right, 2008, 2013. They introduced Aghazi Haquq-e Balochistan package. It was a huge number. And then we heard PMLN also announcing similar kind of amounts. And then finally, this government is also coming up and has been coming up with big packages. Why is it that those packages don't actually bring about change on the grassroots?
Pitafi, it's not, what do you call it, rocket science.
Yeah.
It's very easy. I must correct you that the People's Party government came in 2008.
Yeah.
And 2013, Muslim League Noon came into the power. Okay.
Yeah.
So problem is,
I said 2008 to 2013
yes,
was
it was People's Party, and they started, giving, Aghazi Haquq-e Balochistan.
Exactly.
And I used to criticize it. I said, there is no, start and end of, your, what do you call it, Haquq. Haquq are always, they are going on,
Right,
always,
right.
you see.
It's a struggle.
It was like a bad doctor, that they could not,
Give the right medication.
Yeah, they could not diagnose. They could not. Medication is the other part.
Yeah.
But they could not diagnose what to do and what is the problem. They should have gone for the tests.
Okay.
Then they should have given this. So, time and again, starting from the 72 government of National Women Party and JUI, they could not deliver. My father was the first speaker in that assembly. And when the people come into power, they change. They change. Some people change a bit. Some people change, they 360 degrees. So the problem of Balochistan is that governance amongst us was not that good. And every leader, except for few, they have been in every party. And leaders of that quantum who have seen each and everything vastly traveled politically into the parties, they should have been, what do you call it, masters And they should have, now is the time that they should, give some ointment. They should put something on the bleeding, what you call it, soring, injury of Balochistan. They could not do anything. Name it, they are there. People say, and they are just in saying that we had our own rulers, chief ministers. They were all, Balochis from Balochistan. My father was the only exception. He was a Pashtun chief minister, okay, and me. Otherwise, all of them. And I am also a Baloch, you can say. In Baloch, in the sense that I am for Baloch, I am for Sindhi, I am for Punjabi, I am for everyone. So now we did not, look into the matter that the people, the masses of Balochistan, they matter. We have done nothing, but we have.
And that is exactly what I want to actually highlight or zero in on. I want to understand when the federal government actually plans or orders or offers some kind of package, it is delivered to the Balochistan government. What happens then? Why doesn't it actually reach the grassroots level? I asked this repeatedly to many of chief ministers of Balochistan, including the current one. And I understand that there might be dearth of infrastructure of administration. Is it true?
Yes, a part of it is true.
Yeah.
But when there is will, there is way. And what you see, what you say, you should mean it. So this is the problem that all the governments have failed. This is the fifth insurgency. First insurgency was in 48. In which Khan of Kala's brother was, involved. He went to Afghanistan and came back. He surrendered, and the system went out. Then second insurgency also was like this. The end of every insurgency, Pitafi Saab was given the same structure. Give the people who surrenders, give them money, and they will be docile. And I'm sorry to say, the money which was given to the people, the number of people I gave to the government that these are my people, they have surrendered. I was the beneficiary of that. The Sardars were the beneficiary of that. Till the fourth one, it was the same. Now the fifth one became very grave. Why? Because of your condition surrounding. 9/11, Afghanistan. So there were so many franchises which were open in Balochistan. Crime was paying. Not all of them. They are in mountains and they are Baloch. There are every faction. They are from Sindh also. Outlaws.
That's
something. Okay. So now
that's a very fascinating thing that you are saying. Our national narrative is actually framed around insurgency, violence. Some say it is a demand for rights. The others say that it is terrorism sponsored by others, foreigners, for example, India. But you are also mentioning that there are criminals involved as well.
Yes.
Especially the smugglers.
Yes.
People who hold others hostage as well, kidnappers for ransom. And all these elements have existed there. Now the issue is that this talk of A area, B area, and how you govern Balochistan, because it is such a big territory. How do you actually bring about that change which can take care of everybody and that criminals are not hiding anywhere?
Pitafi Sahib, let me tell you, this is a classical politico-administrative failure in Balochistan. The administration which I have seen, I have very close association with this administration. In 1972, my father was the speaker and I was a very young chap. So I have seen each and everything over there. So if our administration is zeroed, if our political parties, they mend their ways, see our leaders, leaving some people, all of them, they have been, going from one party to the other party, from other party to the third party. The game is still going on. So it is a classically political. Political parties have failed to yield. Political parties must have a plan to mass. What do you call it? The people who they represent, they should work for them. No, they did not work for the people. They were not people-centric. They were, self-centered. What is in it for me? And the political parties' failure came into the hands of administration. And administration, bureaucracy has got its own, lacunae. I mean,
Right.
there are so many problems. Balochistan problem is multifaceted.
Right.
It is very easy and it is very difficult. It is the problem of our social society, the political society and the administrative society that we want to earn for ourselves. Not, I mean, a person who has been, given a job, he has to work for the country.
Right.
But he works, okay, he shows that he's working, but on the back
In the
side,
end, he's working for
yes,
himself.
But
But because, sorry to cut you, but you pointed out politicians. You also pointed out the bureaucracy, right? Let me ask you, if you have to actually point out which one of these are the biggest problem. One, political class. Second, bureaucracy. Third, logistics, because of the area that is there, infrastructure and all. And fourth, resources. Number one problem.
I just tell you one, it is the political failure.
Okay.
Then is administrative failure. Logistics is not a problem. In our Pashto, they say that the water of a powerful person goes up to the mountain.
Right.
It does not come down from mountain, it goes up to the mountain.
Okay.
See,
Right.
so this is very easy. This is very easy to work for the people. And there were, what do you call, a bunch of people think-alikes. They wanted to become look-alikes.
Right.
Now, not look-alikes are there. Think-alikes are very few. So for that, every person wants to do something for himself. I tell you, because I have the experience of my father and myself. In 2013, I was Chief Minister caretaker. Chief Minister, the things were very bad. Things were very bad.
Right.
And I did not take any minister, which misfired for me. But my eyes are high because my diagnosis was correct.
Right.
And I yielded. I was a good doctor, though I am a medical medical.
When you were using medical metaphors, I thought that I would actually bring up that as well. But please, go ahead.
So it is so easy.
Yeah.
I had in front of me so many problems,
Right.
multiple problems, and we had a meeting. In meeting, I said, gentlemen, I mean business. Not that business you are, acquainted to, that business. I want the business of doing something for the country.
Right.
It was a very less, my time is very less, and I want to do things. My, what you call, option list was, second one was, I said to them, I told them that, please see, I want the settled cities and the metal roads to be safe, leave the mountains.
Right.
I know the people who are in mountains and they are waging a war. It's not that easy for them to do anything. So I just need these black roads
Right.
and the settled cities.
So,
and
so the first priority had to be securing
yes,
areas.
law and area. I mean, A or B.
Yeah.
Pitafi sahab, I mean, A is not capital. B is also not capital. A is also, small A and small B.
Right.
It's a will.
Okay.
The will should be capital.
Okay. Okay.
The will is not there. Of course, there is will, but the will what? That I should become powerful.
Right.
It's the power game now. I mean, they have a new entry, a new, what do you call it, strain of politicians have come into being in Pakistan,
Right.
who are also acting like Sardars. Who are, so, see, the original one, at least, if he's a cruel, he will be a
True. Yeah.
I mean, okay. Like the new one, he will act like a Sardar. His cruelty will be very raw,
Right.
very rough. So, I mean, the political system, it is upon the political leaders. The political parties, not leaders, political parties. You see, working for Baloch people, there was only one party, National Awami Party.
Right.
Now there are 4 or 5 people. I mean, they're working. There are so many. I mean, Baloch nationalist parties working for the Baloch cause.
Right.
Why don't they unite?
Okay.
It's a question. It's a big question.
That's a good question, but that question is a question. It doesn't give you an answer.
So,
The answer has to be sought regarding how to reform, and I'm sure you will have some answer. I don't.
I've got each and every answer regarding Pakistan, not Balochistan.
Okay.
I come from Balochistan, but I am an expert on
On
every
entire
field.
Pakistan.
Alhamdulillah.
That's
Though, see, I am son of a politician. I'm son of a tribal chief Nawab. My family has ruled from Afghanistan till Sindh. We had 18 battles with Khan of Kalat, in which we defeated them in 17.
Right.
Okay, so because of this politics, because I want to work for the people now, this is no time to fight for your own goals. See, as you had said earlier, Pitafi sahab, that now there are so many, what do you call it, stakeholders come inside. Drug pushers, gun runners. They are rampant in our society. Even in Islamabad, I see. We don't need, if we are a state and we are a stable state, why we need gun runners along with us? We need sardars or leaders, not warlords. Warlordism has, it has been pampered by the establishment also.
I understand what you are referring to is part tribal, part feudal mentality that has been actually going on for quite some time. But for 20 years, this country's moorings were shaken by terrorism. And perhaps for a time being, there was this feeling that you have to actually protect yourself. Now gradually it will improve. But coming back to Balochistan system, evolution takes time. And in Balochistan's case, it seems that because of perhaps law and order situation that continued for quite some time, that evolutionary process hasn't gone on. Now, how to accelerate it? How to ensure that the common man on the street gets more power, not merely Sardar? I understand you are also Nawab, but I have to talk about the common man because
I am for the common man. It's very easy, Pitafi sahab. This is the 5th insurgency. The last 4 insurgencies, the way, the methodology in that they ended. They ended, you see. So the 5th one, the software updates once come in your telephone also. You cannot go to the back one, the last one. You cannot go to the last one. Now, if you updated your telephone,
resetting,
resetting will it will reset in it. So it was very easy. Why the administration has failed? Nawab Khairbakhsh Mari, he was brought from Afghanistan in a C-130. See, he had gone by his own will, but he came back. He had, threats over there. He came in a C-130. C-130, you cannot use it, I cannot use it. The state can use it. They sent people. And Nawab Sahib came. And his sons, 2 of his sons are with the government. One of his sons is, 2 of his sons are in England, and they are waging, this, what do you call it? It's not a war. It is kind of a guerrilla activity. It's a kind of a hunting. You find some people and firing on them. So he turned again. He was the beneficiary, Nawab Sahib. He was my uncle. My father was their friend, always. So, but still I say, what the state got by that method, why they started this. This time, 5 lakhs to 15 lakhs was given to every person who surrendered. So, result was I gave 500 people. Chunk of money for me, chunk of money for some other Sardar. Everybody brought people and they got the money, and the surrenderies, who in them there were not that much, what you call original ones, but there was some people in that. Now they are rampant in the society. Their gun, their Kalashnikov is now regularized. They have bought, about 1 to 5 motorcycles. They say these 1 to 5 cycles you are used in terrorism, and they are rampant in now cities. So it failed. It failed. This money should have been given to the population of Balochis. This money should have been used by making, dwellings in those areas where there is no urbanization. At least Quetta is not urbanized in my eyes, but still it's an urban city.
It's a small town that has
it's a town. So, had they made some urban towns, or at least our people there, their attitudes are urban, coming from mountains also. Lahore, Karachi, I've seen them, they are more urban than you people. But still, in their area, they are, primitives.
They have to go back to the old style.
So the state should have done what? That they should have made new cities over there?
Creating cities, there are 2 ways. One, they evolve. gradually, like CPEC is coming up, other trade activity will go on, and cities based on people's convenience will actually emerge. The second is to create a city and then to mobilize population and bring them and settle them there. Is this latter part not more authoritarian in nature?
Yes, of course.
So how do you create new cities then?
I mean, it's very easy. In China, I had gone to China in an entourage. So they showed us a city. They said this city hasn't been, developed in 10 years.
Okay.
And it did not appear that it is a new city.
Right.
It appeared that it is an ancient city.
Yeah.
So why can't we? Gwadar is there. Why Gwadar is not developed by these rules?
Right.
I always ask
Right.
the people. So see, we have got will, but we have got ill will. I mean, every government which has come, they
Right.
said that CPEC is attached to us. No, CPEC is attached to Balochistan. Gwadar is our, value, and we are in Balochistan, Pakistan. In fact, Pakistan, the future of Pakistan is in Balochistan.
Right.
And I used to tell them there in China, when we used to meet, they used to talk all about Gwadar. So I used to tell them that, Excellency, Gwadar is in Balochistan. Balochistan is not in Gwadar.
Right.
Spread over Balochistan.
Yeah, that is true. Regarding Chinese cities, I understand they have developed many, but you must have gone through those cities as well, either personally or online, which have been abandoned because they were not practical and they have discipline we cannot have. I mean, that evolved over past 70 years. Now, the question right now, when you talk about economic zones, when you talk about these evolutions, trade route and all geoeconomics of it, do you see the hope of trade and business actually bringing the civilizational aspect of infrastructure development, improving the lot of people in coming days? And if that happens, how soon so?
I have hope in God
Yeah.
Almighty that Pakistan is a viable, country, and Balochistan is more viable. And people know. They say in English that wisdom comes from mountains polished in cities, and we have failed to, create cities. Our wisdom coming from mountain, we have to polish it in Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad. So for that we have to, make our own cities where we can carve our people.
Right.
It is very easy. It is very easy. It is not a rocket science, Pitafi Sahab. It's only the will. If we will that we want to do this thing.
Okay.
It depends upon our will.
But there is great hope. Now let us talk about, because you just pointed out that your family has a history across the border as well.
Yes.
Afghanistan, Pakistan, being a Pashtun family, and you being a Sardar and Nawab. What is going on in Afghanistan right now? Will it create a demographic problem, some kind of pressure on Pakistan in coming days? Because last time people came, especially the refugees, to the tune of 5 million. And right now, an argument is that Afghan Taliban are displacing now those communities which are not Pashtun, which are not contiguous to Pakistan. They already have sway over Pashtun areas. So will this be a problem in coming days? Because the US is leaving, and we see that people are entrenching their positions, Taliban are expanding, and there will be some kind of civil war?
Yes, it has started. What I have seen, what I have been told by the people also, it will start. Afghanistan has always been, what do you call it, a place where there has been internal feuds always.
Right.
So Talibans are essentially Pashtuns,
Yeah.
and this time, if there is an exodus, the other people, the Tajiks, the Uzbeks, the Persian-speaking people, they will flee to the
Other borders.
not to Pakistan.
Right.
Now, for that, we have to take care ourselves, because in last exodus in Pakistan.
Right.
We made a quite economy from that also.
Yeah.
Afghan refugees, in the guise of Afghan refugees, we made institutions, and people who were placed over there, they played their role. I mean, how come Afghani come and have an identity card of Pakistan?
Yeah,
So there are so many masters who sit there, they make money, they made money, and they say no, they don't care for.
Corruption is a big problem.
Yes, the corruption is the basis of everything. If you, I mean, you cannot finish corruption, but at least the quantum of it should be to take it to the lower side.
Yeah.
So had there been no corruption in Pakistan, we would have been a fantastic nation. We are still, but we would have been a fantastic nation, and people envy us. See, we can stand against America also. Zulfikar Bhutto, he stood, and this Prime Minister also said absolutely not.
Yeah.
This was a good. At least our nation is, we like such kind of heroes.
Right. It became very popular.
Yes, it became very popular.
And I've seen very liberal
yes,
writers for
to the people also. Yes,
it.
it gave people. It gave people a courage also. But the political pandemonium in Pakistan makes it. Some people are liking it, and some say no. It will be a very what do you call it, a problem for Pakistan in future. How can we live? We can live.
Right.
I mean.
So we were, especially since you talked about criminals who actually operate across the border, you mentioned corruption. You also mentioned the possibility of pressure, refugee pressure from Afghanistan. We are told that, and I've personally gone and actually showed it also, Pakistan began the project of fencing the border with Afghanistan years ago. Now it has actually reached 87%, and there are areas perhaps they'll have to be regulated otherwise through technology. Do you think that these barriers can keep out the negative forces, may it be corruption, may it be terrorism, may it be cartels, smugglers, and people like that?
Harmony, he is Pitafi Sahab, that the fencing started in the last regime.
Right.
And the people who started constructing it, and the constructors and the people who got this, what do you call it, job to do, to finish it.
Right.
That was a party, Pashtun party, who got this, to do. I mean,
the contract.
The contract. They got the contract, and they started doing it. And their narration still is that this is before it was a Durand line, and this time this is now fencing. And they say that we will break it out if we want. And this side of the border, that side of the border, yes, we have got hostilities, and our people, I mean, Balochistan also, they consider it like that. For this, we have to have a class of our, what do you call it, security forces, of class of administrators who sit there, and of course the political parties also.
And the previous government and this one, based on the national election plan, not only started fencing, but they also started raising more FC. So if that is done, if we infuse more technology as well, that is going to bring about some kind of peace to this disputed area. Is it true?
Up till now, I've seen it as counterproductive. It has not been that easy. I mean, they have been, what do you call it, irritating people also, and the political leaders, social leaders. For us, the Facebook is also a problem nowadays. See, I mean, any good work, any good deed of the agencies or of the forces. I mean, there are some people who do not abide by the rules, so they pick it up and they start shouting and speaking against the institutions. For that, we have to have a very nice kind of, what do you call it, system.
Infrastructure and system.
Foolproof type of a system which can yield and which can,
Right. Nawab Sahab, I'm told that we have reached the end of the program. If you want to actually give us some concluding remarks, then I'm going to actually end the program.
Thank you very much for having me on your
Thank you very
program.
much for coming.
See, it's an honor for me by being a Pakistani from Balochistan. I call myself I am an unconditional Pakistani.
All right.
I don't have preconditions to become a Pakistani. But I am born in Pakistan. My grandfather, he voted for this. This house was made by my father. So I asked my friends also, the political parties, the leaders, the people who matter in Pakistan, everyone, that let us rise above our, personal,
Biases, our
biases and other
interests,
things.
yeah.
We should think of this country. This is a fantastic country,
Yeah.
and if we make it a powerful country, which has got, powers are good, but which has got which has got no problems.
Yeah.
Problems will be there, like not. But not like that.
Within a
that
manageable
so
levels.
many of them, compound pathology will kill us. We should, take care of our.
Right. And Nawab
countries.
Baksha, Baruzai Sahab, thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Viewers, you have listened to Nawab Sahab, our guest of today. Balochistan situation has, as was pointed out in this program as well, gone on for quite some time, and that is why perhaps there isn't been that development, that progress, and that peace either. But in coming days, given that there's a renewed emphasis on how Balochistan is evolving, the current government, federal government, and provincial government both are focusing on Balochistan's progress. And then, of course, economic activity is being generated as we speak. Infrastructure is being laid out. So let us hope in coming days the vision of the federal government, the provincial government, politicians, influencers like Nawab Sahab, they all come together, these visions, and bring about the change and service delivery to the common man in the street in Balochistan as well as elsewhere. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.
The Ubia National Park is located in the lush hills of the Galiat forests that stretch from near Islamabad to Abbottabad and through to Azad